Hallownest, the eternal kingdom. For years, it had shone as a beacon of civilization in a vast, barren world. Bugs from wilds far beyond the kingdom's edges made the treacherous journey to Hallownest's gates, seeking the enlightened mind she granted. It was a time of building, a time of art, of knowledge, and of prosperity. Now, Hallownest has been reduced to a crumbling ruin, plagued by dreams forgotten. The course of events leading to its demise is nothing short of tragic. It is a tale of hubris and ambition, of failure and regret, of memories and vengeance. It is the tale of Hallownest. Our story begins at the edge of the land that would become Hallownest. Here, one can find the immense, discarded shell of a worm. Within lies a single, broken egg. It is from this egg that the dead worm was reborn in the image of a humble bug. Once reborn, he set about his monumental task, uniting the dissonant bugs of the region. It should be known that Hallownest was not the first civilization in this land. There were, of course, the mantis tribe and the mushrooms of the fungal wastes, Un's children in Greenpath, and the hive in the kingdom's edge, just to name a few. The worms sought to unify these separate bugs under a single banner. Most rejected him at first, but despite their recalcitrance, the worm was successful in establishing the kingdom that he envisioned. The worm's regal light became beacon, expanding the minds of Hallownest's citizens. Under his watch, the great capital city was constructed beneath the Blue Lake. The stagways, tunnels that allowed for fast transport between distant points, were dug. Automation allowed for systems of conveyors to move crystals extracted from the great mine in the peak. Truly, this was an age of innovation, the likes of which the land had never seen. But technology was not the only facet of civilization that bloomed in those days. No, the kingdom's society flourished, allowing for a great culture rich with art, music, and the like.
How I yearn for the golden age of a Hallownest. The nobility would throw such opulent galas with magnificent feasts that would go from dusk till dawn. And the art and writing, second to none. Truly, what a glorious time to be alive.
Alas, it would not remain so. Among the bugs who dwelled in Hallownest before the worm's dominion were the moths. The moth tribe were born from the light of a higher being, the Radiance. When the pale worm arrived, the moths forsook their creator to bask in the king's glow. Abandoned, and eventually entirely forgotten, the Radiance grew vengeful. Whispers of her existence pervaded into Hallownest's days of glory. Even as the worm planned for his kingdom's expansion, the Radiance planned her revenge. The Radiance was deeply attuned to the essence particular to what I speculate was her domain, the dream realm. From this attunement, she was able to create a plague of the mind, born from dreams. This infection spread quickly throughout Hallownest, greatly alarming the pale worm. Indeed, this infection heralded the beginning of the end. The king searched desperately for a way to put an end to the Radiance and her plague of dreams. The scholars of the Soul Sanctum thought they could divine the cure. They believed that they could harness the power of a bug's soul to rid themselves and others of the infection. Ultimately, their twisted experiments were for naught. Thousands of bugs were sacrificed by them in their misguided efforts. The Soul Scholars' attempts to harness soul led their bodies to become malformed, and their minds bloated. The king himself was forced to shut down the Sanctum's operations, much to the dismay of its master. Hallownest was not yet doomed, however. The Wyrm had toiled endlessly for a solution to the infection, and his plans would soon be realized. Far beneath the ancient basin, he found a mysterious and primordial substance known as the Void. As a force of darkness and nothingness, it stood opposed to both the light of the king and the light of the Radiance. The Wyrm learned to harness the power of the Void for his own purposes, all with the intention of creating a vessel that could contain the Radiance and finally end the blight upon the land. The vessel created was the king's own child, hollowed out by Void. Consisting purely of Void within an outer shell, this vessel had no mind to think and no will to break. It could not be tainted by the infection. This pure vessel was sealed away in the Black Egg Temple far above the city. Within its mind, the Radiance was contained, thus ending the spread of the infection. Additional measures were put in place to protect the vessel's body. 3 individuals agreed to sacrifice themselves to enact this protection. Lurien the Watcher, in his spire overlooking the capital. Monomon the Teacher, in her archives surrounded by fog and mist. And Hera the Beast, in her den amidst the deep darkness beyond the kingdom. These 3 bugs surrendered themselves to a fate of eternal sleep, and through their collective dream, they became seals that prevented any from entering the Black Egg Temple. The vessel secure and its body protected, the infection faded away. All was well, the king thought, and monuments to the vessel and the dreamers were erected. This happiness was short-lived. For some reason, the vessel failed. The exact circumstances of its failure are unknown, and perhaps will never be known. But my standing theory is this. The vessel was flawed, impure, and the Radiance was able to latch onto these impurities and use them to infect the very mind of the vessel itself. Whatever happened, though, the infection did begin to leak out of the Black Egg. The king's plan had failed. All his sacrifices were meaningless. The infection gripped Hallownest once more, now with even greater severity. His kingdom lost, and his subjects slaves to the will of the Radiance, the pale Wyrm went into hiding. The White Palace, his home, disappeared, along with any promise of the king's return. Ever since, Hallownest has been trapped in an eternal stasis. Despite the king's best efforts, he could not save Hallownest. He sacrificed so much, and still it was not enough. Truly, this tale is nothing short of a tragedy. So many lives lost, such a great civilization ended, all in the struggle between 2 higher beings. In the end, although the kingdom has long since fallen, Hallownest will last forever in its current stasis. I wonder, though, at what cost?